Next, the National Sales Manager for the Kenworth Truck Company, Andy Douglas.
Good afternoon, everybody. On behalf of Kenworth and its over 300 dealers, I wanted to thank ATA and Transport Topics for including us in this great meeting. At Kenworth, we are very bullish and have been very bullish about natural gas for a long time. We started back, much like Freightliner, at the ports of LA and Long Beach, and have seen the industry grow. And I think we're very much at a tipping point right now. And so we're very bullish about the future of gas going forward. Make no mistake, like Cummins Engine Company, PACCAR is also in the engine business. We've successfully launched our PACCAR MX engine here in North America over the last 2 years. So I'm going to challenge the audience to really kind of get away from the concept of that zero-sum game. Either the industry is going to go to gas or it's going to go to diesel. I think for the long term, the answer is it's going to be both. And I think the question that I'm going to challenge the group is to think in these terms instead. Think about fit. Is there a fit for my fleet, for my operations with natural gas? Do I have the lanes? Do I have access to CNG or LNG? Is my application appropriate for natural gas? Natural gas can represent some very attractive financial incentives for you based upon the price of fuel. It can create strategic advantages for you in the marketplace, attracting new business and keeping competitors at bay. But the question is really about fit going forward. It's not about diesel versus natural gas. I think it's really about all the above going forward. When we look at our customers now, I kind of throw them into three separate buckets. We have the early adopters. A lot of these customers are now moving on to their second and third generation of purchases. Some, a very select few, are now moving towards running natural gas entirely in their fleets, maybe similar to the refuse industry, but only a select few. But those are the early adopters. The next group are what I'll call the second wave group. These are the people that are now engaging in natural gas today and beginning to test and adopt the technology. And the third group, I think, is represented by many of you here in the audience, and that is a group that is looking at this technology and trying to determine the fit. So what I want to do is really kind of share with you some what I'll call success stories or some of the customers that have adopted and share with you some of the motivations, talk a little bit about our product lineup at Kenworth, and then lastly close with sort of a checklist. We've given you a lot of information here today. The handouts by ATA, I've got to compliment you. I think those were fabulous. I haven't had a chance to go through them all, but great stuff. So we've given you a ton of information, and you're going to go back and you go, wow, a little overwhelming. A lot of moving pieces here. Where do I start? Well, I'm going to finish by giving you 5 or 6 definite checkpoints to kind of get you started down the natural gas highway, so to speak. For Kenworth and our parent company, PACCAR, environmental leadership and responsibility is really a core value. How we operate, not only in how we build trucks at our 4 North American plants, but also in the products that we provide our customers. A lot of our customers, our traditional diesel customers, have come to Kenworth over the years and said, we'd like you to look at building hybrid technology, or we'd like to look at building natural gas technology. And we've responded to those requests. And recently, the EPA awarded Kenworth its Clean Air Excellence Award based upon our work in the green space, working with hybrid and natural gas technologies. As I mentioned, we started with the ports of LA and Long Beach. I can still remember like it was yesterday. Went to a free lunch that was available back in about 2005, 2006, and we all came out of there, and there in the parking lot was the folks from Westport, the folks from Clean Energy, the guys from Kenworth, and we all kind of sat there leaning against our rental cars and said, what do you think? Where's this thing going? I went back to Kenworth at that point in PACCAR, and I said, hey, listen, when it comes to things in California, we may not agree with it. Oftentimes we don't, but we sure as heck better pay attention to it. Fast forward 5 years, what do we have today? The market has spread much like it did back in the ports of LA and Long Beach back in 2006 and 2007. Since that time, we've added another natural gas product line, the 9-liter ISLG. We've been in test for the last 18 months on the 12-liter that we'll release here in the first quarter of 2013. So once again, you can see by our actions that we're very bullish about the future of natural gas. Why? Well, these are really the dynamic market forces that are driving this market to a tipping point right now. Historically low gas prices relative to diesel, new engine technology. Certainly the 12 rounds out the full family of engines. And lastly, maybe most importantly, the fueling infrastructure growth, which has long been the Achilles heel of this industry. Some examples, certainly clean energy in Las Vegas. There you see a CR England and a UPS truck fueling there in Las Vegas. Blue, out of Salt Lake City in the Pacific Northwest, with their location there in Salt Lake City. And lastly, Quick Trip, out of La Crosse, Wisconsin, providing fuel in the upper Midwest. Some of the motivations we've talked about, one I think you should also consider is that greening supply chain. I met earlier today with a large consumer products company, and they are very motivated for their shippers to begin to adapt natural gas technology. We're seeing that story repeated time and time again in this industry. Here's where we started, back in ports of LA and Long Beach, and the OEs have deployed over 1,000 natural gas trucks down there in the ports and made a significant difference. Fair Oaks Dairy in Indiana, using their animal waste actually as a source of methane, they're hauling milk for the Kroger stores. Ozinga Brothers out of Chicago, operating mixer trucks and doing so because it gives them not only advantage on fuel, but the leads index, as well as the lower decibel levels associated with spark-ignited technology, and then, of course, UPS. Kenworth has the largest product lineup of any OE when it comes to natural gas. Going into 13, we will provide the 3 primary engines, the 9-liter, the 12-liter, and certainly the 15-liter Westport GX, across 6 different models, ranging from on-highway to local pickup and delivery to vocational type of applications. We now, with a full family of engines, have the ability to fit the right tool for the job. As we see it, the 9-liter takes us up to about a 65,000 gross combination weight. The 12-liter takes us up to 80,000. And then, of course, the Westport HPDI, the workhorse, takes us from 80,000 up to basically 140,000. One point that I'd like to make, and it's a key takeaway that I think Jim kind of touched on, is this. And that is, these are diesel engines. This is diesel technology. And what I mean by that is it shares 80 to 90% of the same componentry. It's warranted like a diesel engine. It's tough. It works in our industry. We've just tweaked it a little bit to run on natural gas. I'm taking a little too much time, so I'm going to skip forward and simply leave you with this. Where do you begin? A lot of moving parts, a lot of information to consider. This is how I recommend that you begin. First and foremost, start with fuel. Always start with fuel. What type of fuel do I have access to, CNG or LNG? What's your application? What's your gross combination weight? What's your required range? That'll help us triangulate around tank requirements and so forth. And then lastly, let me leave you with one comment. Choose your service providers very carefully. Don't take for granted that everybody's going to be out there and have the ability to work and wrench your trucks. It takes a very significant commitment from the dealer organization to both train and tool the technicians. So do your due diligence with regards to your service provider. At Kenworth, we do not accept a natural gas order unless we have a firm plan to service your trucks. Thank you.